السلام عليكم. آه، يعني اللايف ده هيبقى فيه زي محادثة كده أو ممكن نقول عليه انترفيو. أنا نرحب بقى بالراجل الأول. آه، هو يظهر شايك بس بقى. هلو فيلي.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Yeah, fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good. I'm good.
firstly, it's my pleasure to get in touch with you and to get in touch for us as Ahli fans and football lovers in Egypt to get in touch directly with you via this opportunity, like video chat on Facebook, live video chat on Facebook. So thank you for accepting my invitation and to sharing us our opinions in the next minutes.
It's my pleasure to also join you on this chat, and also good evening to your friends, and I think also my friends will also be joining me.
Yeah, I think you will have a lot of friend requests after this video chat.
Yeah. In fact, just just give me. I want to fetch something. I want to fetch something. I want to show you something. Just give
Yeah, okay.
me 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. شباب، يعني هستأذنكم بس عشان الراجل كان عنده كونسيرن شوية عن التفاعل. هو الراجل ده من الناس التقيلة جدا في المجال الإعلامي والرياضي عامة في جنوب أفريقيا يعني، والسي في بتاعه ما شاء الله. يعني راجل محلل ويعني كومنتر وإعلامي تلفزيوني وإعلامي راديو وكل حاجة يعني. أنا عشان كده شبيته زي شوبير. فهستأذنكم بس لو الناس تقدر تتفاعل بشكل كويس، ولو حد موجود يقدر يشير عنده على البيدجات مؤقتا لحد ما so it's going to be
يلا
no
علي،
surprise.
يلا علي، يلا
Yeah.
علي.
So it's a good surprise. Why you didn't tell me before joining this video. Yeah, but
So
a
I'm
good
not that.
surprise from you. Thank you for it.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
look,
so we have a big
last year.
supporter. We have a big supporter for Velile in South Africa.
Oh, definitely. Last year I was in Cairo for the AFCON. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, I remember.
visited
Yeah,
I visited the Al Ali village, and also I watched the game. I think you were playing a training match there
yeah,
uh,
yes, yes.
at the Ali village.
Yeah, that's,
So
I remember.
and also
I remember.
I came back with this shirt.
Yeah, it was a gift from the club, as I remember, for the African journalists who visited the club in these days.
Yes, but now our coach is there and we support him. Yalla Ali.
Yeah, may I send you sooner another official one?
Oh, definitely, definitely. The latest.
Thank you for this surprise. It was a good surprise for me, by the way, and I think it was a good surprise for all who are watching us right now. So yeah, let's proceed with the questions, Velil. So my first question was how you can see the movement of Bيtسو to take over Al-Ahli manager role for both South African football at all and for him personally as well.
Look, it's a great move for us as South Africans, I have to say, especially as people who love football. This is a very great move, Mohammed. And I'm saying this not only because he's moving to Ali or to Egypt, but also to have a South African coach going outside the country. It's not every day as South Africans we get to export coaches. I think if I can think now from the top of my head, I can only think of three coaches. One coach who's coaching in the US, who's a caretaker coach at New York Red Bull.
Yes.
Also the Lesotho national team coach, Thabo Senong. So that's Bradley Carnell in the US, Thabo Senong in Lesotho, and we then have Bيtsu Moussimane now at Al-Ahli. But also,
yeah, so we are talking
yeah.
about the first time to have like this step for a larger scale club like Al-Ahli.
Look, there's no doubt. Club of the century in Africa, record 42 league titles in the Egyptian Premier League, record 8 African champions in terms of the African Champions League as well. I know that you've always been waiting for that trophy number 9 when it comes to the Champions League, and I can guarantee you that before the end of the year you'll be having it, courtesy of our very own Bيtsu Moussimane, because he'll be playing a team that he knows very well in at Casablanca in the semi-finals. And I think also what makes things a bit better and easier is that now in the neutral venue you will be having the final, and it's a single-legged final, that is. So I can tell you that we are very excited by this, and you are getting a coach who's also no stranger to North African football, especially in Egypt. I was talking to a friend earlier this week who's also working with Bein Sports, Amr Fami, and he was talking about how Bيtsu Moussimane has tormented Egyptians when it comes to football, starting when Bafana played against Egypt back in 2012. And also, if you remember that game at Military Stadium, we should have beaten you there.
Yes.
And yes, and then with Zamalek, with Bítsu Moussimane coaching Sundowns, he beat Zamalek in the group stages in 2016, and also beat them again in the final. I remember in the final I was at.
Yeah, it was our pleasure for this time to beat Zamalek and to declare your first title from our rivals.
Yes. But you know very well that then there was the big one where Bítsu gave you 5. You know, 5.
No, but
five.
if you repeat it again, I think you could be beaten.
No. But you have to wait for next season. Now we must pray that next season he must meet Sundowns, and he must give Sundowns 5 again.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question was about what do you think about the strengths points that you think or you find that Bítsu could bring it to Al-Ahli as a coach? Strengths point technically or personalities or characteristics which he could bring it or transfer it into Al-Ahli squad team.
Look, I know that when it comes to Egyptian football fans, one of the things that they like, especially about Bítsu, is his good brand of football that he can play. And also that comes with the type of good players that he will have at some stage, you know. So once he's got a good squad, you're guaranteed that you're going to watch good football. But also his game also varies depending on the opponents that he'll be playing at the same time. And I think one thing about him that he's very competitive, and I've watched a number of league matches online. I think on Time, or Time Sport. That's where I've been watching some of them, or on TV as well. Yes. So that's where I've been watching some of the games, and most of the games I've seen this season is look. The Swiss coach has done well. Velile was just left. And looking at the kind of opposition that you are up against, yes, not that the games would be more competitive when you only play Zamalek, Ismaili, or Pyramids, but there are more competitive matches as well. But I do feel that with the understanding that Bítsu is bringing of Egyptian football, because remember when he analyzes going to play Zamalek or Al-Ahli, he's also analyzing the opposition at the same time. And I remember earlier this week, a friend there had called me to ask about that Bítsu. He had heard that Bítsu is bringing an analyst, and he was worried that now what is going to happen to the local analyst. I said, no, Bítsu doesn't use one analyst. He uses 3 analysts.
Oh,
so
really?
on top
so
of
he was following, or he was in coordination with 3 analysts within some Sundowns.
Yes, 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 yes. He has three analysts. He has an analyst who will be focusing on his team, and he has an analyst who will also he has two analysts who will be focusing on opposition, and he has also an analyst who will be especially following matches of the opposition that he will be meeting in 3 to 4 weeks prior. I can guarantee you now, um, since he's starting now, he's already been following the matches of Wydad. I can tell you right now, he's been following the match of Wydad.
Yeah, I
Um,
hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
yes, because
You have
that's where
mentioned a
yeah,
good point for me, which I wasn't aware about, that while he was responsible, or while he was working on analyzing Al techniques, he was in the same regard analyzing the other rivals or the other teams. Performance like Pyramids and Zamalek Ismaili, as he told me, and it's the same concept he worked was when we are talking about being familiar about our next match with Al Wydad.
look, the man, he lives, he eats, he drinks, he sleeps football.
So,
You know, he's Mr. Football all the time. In fact, some of my friends who've also been to his house, they'll tell you that there's TVs all around his place. You know,
yeah, I read
and
it. I read it 2 days ago. Yeah, and I
yes,
was surprised that he, like me, he is a fond of Leeds United, so it makes me more attractive to Beitou.
yeah. So one thing I can tell you that when it comes to football, you now have a man who's really obsessed with football, and when it comes to attention to detail, especially the analysis, he doesn't just leave the job to his analysis team. And I wanted to tell you something about Pizzo, and one of the reasons that he has these three analysts. One of the things that he does, and I think this is where he's going to be demanding a lot from his players, because he expects his players to analyze their game and also to analyze their opponents as well.
Yeah,
And
and that's why I think that's why
yes,
today was an interview with our official club TV channel. He mentioned and strictly stressed on mentioning or talking about the mentality and attitude of the player, and he mentioned it as the main concept or the main element which could help the team to clinch the Champions League. The mentality,
exactly,
attitude, yeah.
exactly, and also Sundowns. If you look at Sundowns in the last, there was a time, I'm not sure if it was last season, where they lost out in the semi-finals. Um, for me, I believe that that was the season where Sundowns could have easily won the Champions League, but they were just short of one striker. A big number 9 up front. And when I look in this early team, where you have the Senegalese striker Ali Badji, you also have Walid Azaro as well. I mean, for me, it's very interesting what he can achieve with this team. And I think the difference here is that he understands the Champions League space very well, because this is a space that he's been playing in now for the past 5 years regularly. I know that when you talk about Sundowns here at home, he had been reaching the Champions League. In fact, he had been finishing first and second regularly for the past 7 years. But also for the past 6 years, he's been in the group stages of Champions League. He knows all the teams, and I don't think there's any team that he knows better than Wydad Casablanca. So they must be very afraid right now.
Yes. So our next question is about, from your opinion, when we are talking right now about the Champions League, African Champions League. So how can you rank teams with opportunity or with a chance to clinch this year vision?
Come
Ahli,
again?
Zamalek, Wydad, Raja.
Come
How you
again?
can rank? What about your ranking or your opinion about the teams with best opportunity to clinch the CAF Champions League this year?
Look, it's not going to be easy, I have to say. And one of the reasons that it's not going to be easy is because we know that there's been the dominance of Esperance for the past 2 seasons. They wanted to make it 3 out of 3, but it was always going to be difficult for them, especially after playing against, I think they played against Zamalek twice, and you remember also, they also lost to Zamalek in the Super Cup as well. Pity now, Patrice Cateron is not there anymore. But when you look at the 4 teams which are left now, it's Zamalek playing against Raja Casablanca. And I know that Patrice Cateron, I have spoken to him earlier this year. He really wanted to.
But he left Zamalek
Yeah, he left.
in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Yeah, I spoke to him earlier this year, and he wanted to make sure that he plays against Raja Casablanca and beat them because he was coming back from there. So it was very interesting that he left before maybe making another final.
And the same situation was here with Al-Ahli, as you know. Our Swiss coach Weiler left the club, and that's why we brought another one, which is Beitou. So we have the same situation. With advantage from my perspective that we brought a coach who was familiar with the African football, who was familiar with the team, our team, who was familiar with the other teams in the semifinals. So for me it gives us an advantage rather than Zamalek, for example.
Yes. So when I look at it, he beats Wydad Casablanca, he meets Raja Casablanca, or it becomes a Cairo derby against Zamalek, and he will have to come up against Zamalek. And for me, it's not really going to be a difficult exercise for him, because when it comes to African football, especially North Africans, I really trust him. The only difference could be that he's now with a new team. It's not the Sundowns team, and also maybe he would have just started with his new team. But I think what another thing which helps, Pizzo has got the BMT, that big match temperament when it comes to big matches. Also bear in mind that he's fresh from winning a treble here at home. He's won the league here in South Africa for the past 3 years back to back. So I understand that some of the questions which have been coming up here is how is he going to handle the pressure. The man lives for big occasions. You've seen him coming to Egypt, beating Zamalek in Egypt, beating Al-Ahli in Egypt. Yes, maybe we can say that in terms of advancing, his record against Wydad is not that strong. But that was with Sundowns. Now, with a balanced team that Al-Ahli has got, I think I was saying last week when I first heard about this possible move last weekend, I was saying, so the man in only 3 matches will be getting his second star,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I think that's very possible.
Yeah, so my last question, and later on I will read some comments which some people asking you about another question. So my personal last question is, it's been about 7 years by now since the last time we managed to clinch an African title, which is a long period for us, for Al-Ahli team, as you know, our scale. So what do you think is the main reasons behind being absent about clinching the African titles for 7 years by now for Al-Ahli?
Look, I remember the final that you had against Esperance, and for me that was very interesting. And I felt at that stage you were coached by Cateron at the time. Remember?
Yes.
I felt that you stood a good chance, but I thought in the return leg, which was played in Rades, Esperance was very good in that second leg. Remember, there were a lot of problems in the first leg, also with the VAR and the penalties and all those things. But in the return leg, you were very unfortunate. You could have done better there. I remember the last title that you won, it was against Orlando Pirates in 2013. And that was another strong team, which you had by that time. I'm not sure if you were coached by Hossam El Badri at that time.
No, this time was by Muhammad Yusuf, and we still at this time we still have Wael Guma, Said Muawad, Abu Trika.
You had Abu Trika at that time as well. Yes. I remember.
He scored twice.
He scored a free kick. He scored a free kick.
Home and away.
Yes. But that was against a very interesting Orlando Pirates team that had also beaten.
Of course.
I think they had beaten you 4-0.
So fantastic performance by so fantastic performance in their home game.
Yes. I think that was in El Guna, if my memory serves me well. The game that you had played there. But
3-0.
one thing I can, So one thing I can tell you is that the 7-year period, I know that it's been very painful for you guys. As much as you are record 8-time African champions, you've been waiting for this league title. In fact, for this Champions League title. But in Bيtسو Mosimane, you've got a man who can deliver it.
We hope so. We all also.
Yeah. No. You've got a man who can deliver it. I know that one of the reasons the current board, I understand that the current board, before they were voted in, they promised that they will deliver the 9th Champions League title. The record 9th is got to be said.
Yeah.
And I think their decision to go for Bيtسو because they want this elusive title, I think they've made a good decision. I mean, if you look at even the physical trainer, physical conditioner that he came with, is one of the top physical trainers in the country. KB, he's also a physical trainer for Bafana Bafana as well. He's an expert of periodization, a man who has done very well to equip himself. He amongst his peers, you can count some of the physical conditioners from some of the top leagues in Europe. And at least now he's very close to Europe. He's just 2 or 3 hours away. It will be easier for him. And also the analyst, Musi, he's also been working with Bيtسو, I think, for the past 6 to 7 years. So in terms of the understanding, there's a strong understanding there. I'm just not sure what's happening.
Very positive, good point.
Yes. So you were supposed to be also getting an assistant coach from Sundowns.
Yes.
I'm not sure what's happening.
By now, as we heard in Egypt, he refused to come with him, and so he have another choice or an alternative one to bring with him as assistant coach.
Watch this space.
Sorry?
I'm saying watch this space.
I don't know his name. He wasn't declared yet.
No, I'm saying watch this space. You will like the choice because look, I think what is important is the understanding of him getting a local
about harmony. The harmony.
Yes, it's about the harmony, and I understand that there's a goalkeeper coach who came with the previous coach, and I understand that you guys as Ali fans, you like that goalkeeper coach very well, so you've retained him. But look, an assistant, an analyst, and also a physical conditioner, I think that's a good team that the coach will be bringing.
Good. So we still have 30 minutes to go as we agreed. So we have a lot of questions for you from your new Egyptian friends. So the first question was by Hazim. He is asking that media in Egypt is extremely tough. So how you can relate that Bيtسو could deal in such case that media is so focused on some circumstances or small details in Egypt. So how he could manage this stress?
Look, I think one of the through tests and the serious test for Bيtسو Mosimane as a coach in South Africa was during his time as Bafana coach, the national team. And part of this was also during the time when he came to play against you guys at Military Stadium in Cairo. Even though it was a draw then, he had beaten you here at Ellis Park Stadium. But he faced a very tough period with us as journalists at the time. And I think during his stay at Sundowns, after he left Bafana, he also told us that maybe when he was at Bafana, he should have handled the media better. And I think in the last 7 years, when he's been at Sundown, 7.5 years, he's dealt differently with the media. He's found ways of being mature, show a lot of maturity in dealing with the media. But you must also understand that, and I know that it's different now because he would be coming just as a coach of Sundowns, and then winning or
it is
losing.
the concept of the question, yeah.
Yes. So, but now the difference is that he's coming as an Al Ali coach, you know. So, but I think he already knows what to expect. Remember, Bيtسو, even during the AFCON last year, he came. I think he was an analyst for Time Sports during the AFCON, and some of the things he would be seeing, and he will be watching even some of the press conferences as well. There in Egypt, if the coach would be critiqued. Remember when we knocked you out of the AFCON at Cairo International Stadium? I was there on that day. I liked the spirit of Egyptians, you know, even from our friends, you know, in the media space, because they were very complimentary because of the brand football.
Yes, but let me explain something. It differs between being a supporter for the national team and being a supporter for a local team, which is have more potential to clinch titles rather than our Egyptian team right now with its bad performance since 2010, I think. So it differs.
No. I know. But in the context of how to handle the media, you know, and also remember, Bيtسو is not like all these other European coaches who've just been coming to coach Al Ali coming from outside the continent, you know.
Yes.
He's been here on the continent. He's been playing Al Ali, Zamalek. He's been playing Raja Casablanca.
Which make him
in fact, he's been playing
more
good at
competent
Casablanca.
to deal with different potential circumstances regarding press pressure, Vance pressures, and other similar situations, right?
Come again?
With such experience which you are talking about makes him so familiar or so competent about how to cope with press pressures, players conflicts within media pressure, or other similar aspects.
100%. And also remember, this is why there has to be this compatibility, even in the technical team. You know, as much as he's bringing his own people, but also there are those that he has to find there who will make it easier for him in terms of understanding the local conditions. But more than that, when he goes to Casablanca, or when he goes to Rades, you know, when he goes to Lubumbashi, or even if he goes to East Africa to play Simba or Yanga, or if he comes back to South Africa to play Orlando Pirates, Sundowns, or even Kaizer Chiefs, he's fully understanding of the space. So this makes him different to those who are coming from outside the continent.
Yeah. So we have a lot of positive comments, but we need to skip to the next question, was about that we have a good insight or a good feedback about his scouting team. So could you clarify some points or your opinion about his scouting skills or his scouting assistance team?
Yeah, look, fortunately, I've been very close to some of the guys who have been working with him, especially when it comes to scouting. And I know one of the questions I was asked sometime earlier this week by one of the journalists there in Egypt was why he seems to like South American players a lot. Because if you check at his team currently, he had Nascimento, he had Sereno, he had Ali Meza. Before he had Castro, and if you remember Castro was the one who was deadly against Zamalek back in 2016 when they beat Zamalek twice in the group stages and also in the final in the Champions League. It's also because of the way he's very close to his scouting team, you know. And I'm not just talking about the analyst that is working within the first team, but he likes to, as I have said to you, he watches a lot of football. And the football that he's watching is not just only African football. He watches South American football. He watches a lot of European football, and not just in the top leagues, and even the so-called smaller leagues as well. And I understand that you guys also play the Arab Champions League as well. Don't be surprised if the man knows a thing or two about that league, because when they have to find information about Al Ahly or playing against Wydad Casablanca or even Raja Casablanca or even Esperance, and they find that the opponent was they were playing in the Arab Champions League, they will watch that. And through that, this also now exposes him to talent from those different regions. So that's why you would find him also making it easier for him to find talent like Sereno, like Castro, like Nascimento, like Ali Meza.
It's so logic for me by now to bring some talents from South America. I was wondering why he could manage to bring such brilliant talents like Sereno from South African countries. So you touched the bar. You got it for me by now.
Yeah. So, and also, whilst maybe if you were to rely maybe on just people bringing those players, it would be costing the club a lot of money. But because of the scouting network that he also relies on, or the scouting team that he will be working with, they are able to find some gems. And there's something that I'm not going to tell you because, interestingly, just a day or 2 days before this deal of Al Ahly was confirmed, we were with him on our TV show, and he was telling us on how they manage to scout these players. And I felt it was a fascinating, seriously, a fascinating analogy that he came up with on how they go as far as getting some rare top talent, but at a very, very cheap price.
That's so pivotal consideration for any club, and for when we are talking about us as Al Ahly, so it's so crucial or so pivotal consideration, which I think Al Ahly will benefit from it.
Oh, definitely. Remember, these days when it comes to international football, especially at the level of professional teams, and especially at a team like Al Ahly, which is no doubt the biggest team on this continent, you also have, especially for scouts, you rely on online programs.
Unfortunately, we haven't a scouting team, and that's why we are struggling with bringing some.
Wait, you don't have a scouting team?
No,
at Al Ahly?
unfortunately.
Is it? Oh no! What?
Yeah, we are in 2020, and a big club like Al Ahly haven't a scouting team till now. And I think it was a good consideration while selecting Moussimani, which giving him a priority.
He's going to sort that out. Don't worry, he's going to sort that out.
So yes, we have another question from Ahmad Mohi. He asking you that, or he is commenting that actually we have as Al Ahly to warn Mr. Beytso that Egyptian players' mentality gonna killing him. So he is talking about the poor mentality for some of our players in current football generation in Egypt. So yes, so we have answered a lot of questions which we're talking about or asking us about Mr. Moussimani scouting skills, Mr. Moussimani ability to deal with press, media, and other potential pressures from different aspects. So let us skip to the next question.
But I think on that mentality issue that you're talking about, I think one of his, I remember, remember when he arrived at Sundowns, it was it was December 2012 when he arrived at Sundowns. And when he got there, Sundowns was number 15. Out of 16 teams, they were number 15 in December, you know.
They were about to relegate from the Premier League.
Yes. But okay, I think they finished 9th or 10th. I can't remember where they finished. So he managed to save them. But the following season, after that, Sundowns won the league title. They won the league title, and ever since then they've been finishing number 1 or number 2. And in that period, in the 7 years or 7.5 years he's been in Sundowns, he won 5 league titles and was a regular in the Champions League. And I remember, so in that first season, or midway his second season, one of the problems that he was dealing with ill-disciplined players, yes. And the ill-discipline, he dealt with it. He loaned out some of the players, and he tried to address it. And that's why players who are ill-disciplined will find it very difficult to be in Pitso's team. He will make sure that he brings discipline to the team. And where it's difficult, because when the team is achieving and you are a rotten potato in the team and you're watching from the stands, you will feel it the most, because those who are in the team will be enjoying the fruits of achieving, and you will be on the sidelines. So he's been around. Look, we're not talking about a man who's just started coaching yesterday. He's been coaching at the highest level now, and even making the group stages, even in the Champions League with his then team, SuperSport United, and that was back in 2004, 2005, and now we're talking this is 2020 now. So in terms of experience in this space, he knows what he's doing, and I understand what you're talking about, that you are in North Africa, the mentality is different, it's something different to what he's been dealing with here in South Africa, which could going to be a bit of a test for him, but also it's a good test because it takes him out of the comfort zone. Here at home, it's going to test him at that side. But also, as you know, football is a universal language.
Right. Yeah. So in the same regard, we have another question from Amr Kamal. He's talking about that we are in a tough time. It's been 2 weeks to play the semi-finals against Wydad Casablanca, and we think that it's so tough time to be familiar as a players, to be familiar with Mr. Pitsu's technique or tactics. So what do you think about this?
I think it's a blessing in disguise that at least he has 2 training sessions. He has a training session today, and then he will have the match day -1 tomorrow.
Yes.
Before he plays the league game on Sunday. I know that for you, I mean, these league games don't mean a lot now. They are just training matches because you've already won for the second league title. But I think that is a good opportunity for him to also watch the team, and I don't expect him to change a lot from the squad that has been there. And I think it's also a good thing because now he'll also be relying more on the assistant coach and the technical team that he finds there, in terms of guiding him on how to go about it. But as I had said to you, at this level, international coaches, I will not be surprised that Pitso on his flight from Joburg to Addis, and then from Addis to Cairo, he's been watching the past few matches of Al Ahly, and also he's been watching the matches of Wydad as well. So it's not something at this level that, and also when there's a new coach, and this is where there could be an advantage, and this is where the opponents, especially Wydad, should be very aware of the situation. When there's a new coach, you suddenly have that vibe where all the players want to make sure that we win the coach's favor. They want to make the team, and so the game against Wydad comes at a wrong time for the Moroccans, because the players will also be looking at impressing Pitso, but also Pitso knows more about Wydad as well, and especially at this crucial stage of the competition.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another good question from Hima, and it's been for our followers information. It's been 15 minutes to go, so we have by now a good question from Hima. He is asking that Pitso won one Champions League in 4 years or so. He always had best statistics in chance creation, succeeded passes, and pole position. So is that because bad luck, maybe, or players couldn't help him sometimes, or he lost concentration in some matches, from your opinion? What was the reasons to only clinch only one title within the last 4 years?
Look, from my experience of the African Champions League, and if you look back into the season when they won the Champions League back in 2016, most of the time at the top they had Leonardo Castro, you know. And if you look in following competitions, and yes, I think by the time they were winning the competition, I think Castro was injured and they were leading the line with either Billiard or playing with, and they had Kick and Dolly, but Kick and Dolly was more coming from the sideways, and also they had Pesitao also sometimes playing as a false nine, you know. So, but in my experience of the CAF Champions League, to win it, you need a proper number 9, and he had been crying for this proper number 9 for a very long time.
We have the same problem with Al-Ahli right now. We are struggling with this problem for 7 years by now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
but by now you are making us so disappointed.
No, but are you then are you then telling me that Azaro can lead you?
No. Azaro isn't on our squad right now, as he wasn't on loan to a Saudi Arabia team, so he isn't eligible to play with us.
Oh yes. Team. Oh, okay.
We only have two strikers who are Aliou Padji and Marwan Mohsen.
Yes, and I think Mohsen, in my opinion, is a good striker. You know.
So I think the majority who are listening to you right now, telling us that Mohsen is a good striker, gonna beating you.
No, I think for me, I mean, if there are players, maybe I liked him more when he was at Zamalek, Karaba, the left winger. Yes. Because I remember when he was at Zamalek, he came here to play against Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, I remember.
And and
so to summarize what you have said to answer this question, it's about some struggles or some unsituational circumstances that Beytso came across with different seasons or different participations with the Champions League, which hindered him from clinching another title. So yes, it's okay. It's clear by now for us. So we have another good question from one of my influencer, Hisham Al-Feki. He is asking you what's making Beytso angry. It's the first question, and second question is what kind of player will be out from his squad? What kind of players to be out from his squad?
Okay.
What makes him angry? And second one, what kind of players to be out from his squad or his plan?
But there's some echo, eh?
The first question, what makes Beytso angry? The second question is what the kind of players to be out from his plan?
Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what was happening there. But what I can tell you, on Beytso, you know, Beytso likes mind games sometimes. You know, it's like, yeah, yeah. It's like when he's lost it, when he's lost a match. Hey, I'm receiving some echo. I don't know what's happening. I'm receiving some echo.
So, could you hear me well by now? Can you hear me well?
I can hear you, but I'm hearing myself.
So let's speak, and we haven't any problem with your voice. So let's speak, and we can hear you well by now. So let's proceed with your answers, please, if you can.
Yeah. So I'm saying that there's a delay. So I hope that.
Yeah, no worries. We are listening carefully to you right now. So our question was the first one, which what makes Beytso angry, and the second question was about what kind of players to be out from out of his plan or his squad.
Okay. Yeah. So as you know, Beytso, sometimes he likes the mind games because sometimes he would lose a game, and instead of focusing on the result of having lost, he will try and pick up something else which has got nothing to do with the actual game. And sometimes I know that with the opposition fans, they would really they would really be rubbed the wrong way by this, and I think this is also something even the media they must brace themselves for this one. And also he likes to pick up on the opponents, and especially a strong competitor. And whilst you are going to be focusing on what he's saying, you end up forgetting about the result, which I feel that it's a trait that for the past few years he's tried to do. And you will see, maybe once you start, maybe you see the results not going his way, then you are going to see how is going to react. But also one of the good things, and I think is very good about him, he also always gives the compliment against a strong opponent. You've seen him even when he goes to Wydad, even when he loses against Wydad. I mean, there would still be that good reaction from him. But look, there are some areas that if you press him and you try and get something out of him, especially in the press conferences, you will see the other wrong side of him as well. But
so overall,
I think
in Egypt,
when it comes to mind games, I think he's one of the best coaches in African football today when it comes to mind games. And if you focus too much on his mind games, it will be working you on the other side. And those mind games could get into your team, and you would see your team having lost the game even before they started playing it.
So I think he will have a problem with us, as we have a lot of unprofessional journalists here in Egypt. So I think he will struggle sometimes with media in Egypt, but we will defend and we will provide a protection for him as much as possible. So
I don't think so. I think I would like to defend my colleagues. There are some very good journalists that I've been working with in Egypt.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned we have some, not the majority.
Some. Okay. But I think it happens. It happens in every country. You always have a good crop of journalists, and then you have some charlatans. Yeah.
So it's okay for us by now. We have answered the majority of questions, and we have a lot of good positive comments and feedbacks for you. And
but I see they don't like Mosin.
Yeah. As I told you, you would be beaten if you mentioned that he's a good player. He's killing us day by day, match by match.
And tell me,
I left Egypt and I came to the UK to get rid of him.
And then tell me about Junior Ajayi. I mean, I see Junior Ajayi was very good.
He is
but I've seen that in recent matches he's not been strong.
Yeah, he is a good player, but he is coming across bad performance, which is a prolonged one by now. I think he has some issues with being away from his family since the COVID inception months ago, and that's why while his wife came to Egypt weeks ago, he began to provide his normal good performance. But I think he hasn't a poor mentality regarding motivating himself to go to a higher level and to go for a larger team in Europe. So it's been about mentality or attitude, which I believe that it's one advantage that Bيتسو could benefit الأهلي or could bring some good aspects to الأهلي in this regard. So thank you for accepting our invitation today. It was my pleasure. We enjoyed this trail with you. We enjoyed the time. We enjoyed your answers and clarifications, which a lot of them was so fruitful and so interesting for us. So thank you for joining us today. I hope we can get in touch later to talk about الأهلي, talk about Bيtسو, talk about another football aspects.
Yes, let's have the conversation again on the week of the Champions League final, because Bيtسو will be in the final.
Yeah, we will win, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Shukran.
Thank you. Shukran. Bye bye.
Bye.
طيب يا شباب، انا خلصت كده. معلش بقى على الإطالة، ومعذرة يعني لو في حاجات ما قدرناش نغطيها. يعني حاولت ان انا اعمل حاجة لطيفة شوية او حاجة جديدة شوية، ما تبقاش تقليدية، ونحاول نشوف حد يبقى كلوز او متابع الراجل يقدر يقدم لنا وجهة نظره عن كسب يعني وعن قرب شوية. الراجل قدم لنا يعني كلاريفيكيشنز جديدة بالنسبة لي. هو بيتكلم عن فريق التحليل، وان الراجل كان شغال بثلاثة مش شغال بواحد بس. هو اوريدي جيب واحد معاه، بس هو اوريدي فترة وجوده في سان داونز كان شغال بثلاث محللين اداء، وان دي من الحاجات اللي كانت بتدي له ادفانتج. اتكلم عن حوار السكاوتنج اللي الناس كانت بتسأل عليه، وان هو الراجل برضو كان بيختار السكاوتنج تيم ممبرز اللي بيشتغلوا معاه، وان هو كان عنده كونسبت ان هو سان داونز مش هينفست كتير قوي، وهيجيب لعيبه جود تالنت باسعار خياليه يعني واسعار كبيره، بس السكاوتنج هيقدروا يجيبوا له لعيبه بوتنشال وجود تالنتس باسعار كويسه. واتكلم حتى عن شغف الراجل بالكوره، وان الراجل بيقدر يدرس فرق ممكن ما تبقاش في مخيلتك، لانه متابع كويس للكره الافريقيه وللكره العربيه وللكره في جنوب افريقيا، في امريكا الجنوبيه. ويمكن دي من الحاجات اللي زي ما احنا شايفين يعني ان هو بيقدر يجيب لعيبه كويسه على مدار سنين مختلفه من امريكا الجنوبيه زي سيرينو على سبيل المثال. اتكلم برضو على حته المايند جيم، ان الراجل من الناس اللي بتعرف تلعب المايند جيم كويس. ودي حتى اعتقد دي حاجه واضحه لينا او الناس عارفاها عن الراجل، ان الراجل حته الحرب النفسيه او الماتش النفسي والتأهيل والاستعداد النفسي والكلام ده كله، الناس كانت يعني اعتقد ان هي كلنا شفناه وفاميليار مع الراجل من 2016، من ماتشات الزمالك في 2016 لحد ماتش الاهلي السيزون الحالي. اتكلم ان من الحاجات اللي الراجل بيحب يركز عليها دايما، ودي حاجه مهمه جدا. وعشان كده انا قلت له، هو الراجل ذكر بيتسو اتكلم النهارده على حوار المينتاليتي والعقليه، اتكلم على حوار ان هو زي ما بيحب يدرس الفرق المنافسه واللي بيحب يدرس تفاصيل تخص الفريق اللي هيلعبه، بيحب اللعيبه يبقى عندها نفس الكونسبت، بيحب اللعيبه تتفرج وتشوف وتدرس، بيحب اللعيبه تبقى انفولفد في حاجه خاصه بموضوع التحليل بتاع الفريق اللي انت هتلعبه واللعيبه اللي انت هتواجهها فرد الفرد. اتكلم كمان عن ايه لو حد بس يفكرني. انا احاول افتكر بس الراجل كان بيتكلم عليه عن ايه. بس اتكلم على حوار التعامل الضغط الاعلامي، واتكلم عن جزئيتين في حوار الضغط الاعلامي. اول جزئيه ان الراجل اوريدي لاعب الاهلي والزمالك ولاعب فرق شمال افريقيا كلها تقريبا بلا استثناء، فالراجل يعني فاميليار انف مع موضوع الضغط الاعلامي والاسلوب الاعلامي والاسلوب الصحافه والميديا في شمال القاره يعني بما فيها مصر، وانه اوريدي لعب في مصر 4-5 مرات في اخر 4-5 سنين وفي مناسبات مختلفه منها فاينلز. فهو الراجل اوير انف يعني بالجزئيه دي، وعنده الخبره بتاعت ازاي هو يهندل الجزئيه دي. ورغم كده هو لم ينكر ان الراجل في بعض الاحيان بيخرج عن شعوره وبيتعصب، وان دي من الحاجات اللي تخليه اوت اوف كنترول احيانا. حته المؤتمرات الصحفيه لما بيبقى فيها اسئله مستفزه جامد يعني، اتكلم على حته هو ليه سان داونز ما توجش ببطوله افريقيا في اخر 4 سنين، الا المره الواحده بتاعت 2016. اتكلم ان كل سيزون كان فيه ظروف مختلفه. بيتكلم ان هو في بعض الاحيان الراجل كان عنده مركز 9 فاضي ما فيهوش حد، وان هو كان بيخش في ديبيت يعني مع ناديه عن احتياجه للمركز ده، وفقد اللعيب الاساسي عنده وقتها، وبالتالي كان عنده مشكله في حته المركز الراس الحربه، وان دي من الحاجات اللي ضيعت له البطوله اللي بعديها 2017 على حسب بس ما انا اتذكر من كلامه في اللايف. اتكلم على حته الانضباط والديسبلين، ان دي من الحاجات اللي بتبقى مهمه بالنسبه له في حته اللعيبه اللي بتاخد فرص والكلام ده كله. اتكلم عن ايه تاني؟ يعني انا احاول اشوف بس من الاسئله بتاعتكم واربط بالكلام اللي الراجل قاله. اتكلم على يعني جزئيه، كان في سؤال مهم الناس بتساله، موضوع ان احنا فاضل لنا اسبوعين بس على ماتش الوداد، وهل ده وقت كافي ولا لا؟ فالراجل قال لك انا اعتقد من معرفتي ببيتسو ان هو في رحلته الطويله دي اللي هي كان جاي بيها لمصر، ان هو اكيد كان بيتفرج لا على حاجه للاهلي لا اما حاجه للوداد. ودي من حكم معرفتي بتفكير الراجل، وان الكوره حرفيا هي حياته كامله. فانا اعتقد ومتاكد عن يقين شبه حقيقي ان الراجل اكيد في الفتره الرحله الطويله دي والترانزيت بتاع اديس ابابا ولحد ما جه القاهره، هو كان بيتفرج على حاجات تخص الاهلي او اتليست على حاجات تخص الوداد علشان يبدا يأهل نفسه، لان هو مدرك ان الدوري اوريدي منتهي، وان هو ما عندوش هدف اسمى واكبر واهم دلوقتي من بطوله افريقيا. فهو الفتره الجايه اللي هي اسبوعين فتره طف شويه، وفتره ضيقه ومضغوطه وقليله، ولكن هو من النوع اللي هي يعني هو عارفه ان هو باشونيت انف عن الكوره، وان هو اكيد هيدو هيز بيست، يعني ان هو بيحاول يحلل الفريق اللي هيلعبه زي الوداد. وان هو عنده ادفانتج كويسه، ان هو ممكن ما يبقاش متابع الاهلي قوي، ولكن في الاول والاخر هو عنده بيزكس موجوده تخص الاهلي، وعنده بيزكس موجوده تخص الوداد، خاصه هو لاعب الوداد اوريدي قبل كده اخر سنتين ثلاثه، وفاميليار مع لعيبه معينه ومع طريقه الوداد، خاصه طريقه الوداد مع تغيير المدربين ما اتغيرتش كتير. يعني حاجه زي باي ذا واي، ما قالهاش بس انا اللي بقول، يعني الكره الثابته على سبيل المثال من التكنيك اللي الوداد بيعتمد عليه اخر 3 سنين تقريبا، وانا اعتقد ان ممكن يكون 50% من اهداف الوداد قايمه على الكور الثابته. فهو بيقول ان الاسبوعين قليلين، ولكن هو الراجل شخصيته تقدر تساعده في حاجه زي كده. اتكلم على ايه تاني؟ هنحاول نشوف الكومنتات عشان اربط. الراجل طبعا كان مصدوم ان احنا ما عندناش سكاوتنج، وكان مذهول ان هو ازاي، يعني هو مش يعني بيحسبنا بنهرج ان الاهلي ما عندوش سكاوتنج تيم، وان هو مستغرب ان فريق بسكيل زي الاهلي ما عندوش سكاوتنج تيم، ولكن هي دي حقيقة. وهو شايف ان هو كان يظن شايف ان احنا مروان محسن يقدر يخدمنا، فهو تقريبا راجل مش متابع كويس. فاحترامنا ليه طبعا، هو يا ريت ياخدوه هم سان داونز يلعب معاهم زي ما بدافيست خد عمرو جمال وريحنا منه. اتكلم كمان على جزئيه حظوظ الفرق واللي هي المشاركه في قبل نهائي بطوله افريقيا، الاهلي والزمالك والوداد والرجاء، وقال ان الموضوع صعب جدا وكل الفرق تقريبا حظوظها متساويه، وان الزمالك حته ان هو اللي اخرج ترجي حامل اللقب اخر سنتين، وان هو كسبه في السوبر كمان، دي بتدي له افضليه نفسيه وثقه في نفسه وهو داخل. الاهلي ان هو فاميليا، المفترض ان هي مع الادوار الاقصائيه دي، ومع مدرب المفترض ان هو خبير في التعامل مع المواجهات اللي زي دي ومع الادوار الاقصائيه، والبرفورمانس بتاعه كويس. اتكلم عن جزئيه الهارموني، هو ليه الراجل جايب معاه المحلل والمدرب العام، عايز يبقى معاه مدرب عام، وعايز يبقى معاه محلل مدرب الاحمال. قال ان محلل الاداء ده بقى له معاه لحد دلوقتي 6 7 سنين، فاحنا بنتكلم في الهارموني، ان الهارموني عاليه، بنتكلم في حد موجود يعني في تعاون كامل مع المدير الفني بقاله 6 7 سنين، فدي حاجه كويسه وحاجه مهمه جدا. بيتكلم ان على حته لما قلت له ان غالبا اللي احنا سامعينه ان المدرب المساعد اللي هو كان الفيرست تشويس ليه او الفيرست بريورتي ليه ان هو يجي معاه، هو غالبا مش هيجي وهيكمل في سان داونز. فقال ان هو ايا كان هو الراجل بيجيد اختيار الاعضاء اللي بيبقوا معاه في كاسيستنس تيم، يعني ممبر. فايا كان هو واثق ان هو هيجيب حد يبقى كومبتنت انف ان هو يبقى موجود في المكان ده مع الاهلي، لانه من النوع اللي بيؤمن بالعمل الجماعي، وده واضحه جدا في حته اللي هو ذكر انه 3 محللين اداء مش محلل واحد بس في فتره سان داونز، وان هو كان معاه تيم كامل للسكاوتنج له الاهداف بتاعته. فدي كانت جزئيه مهمه.
يتكلم على ايه تاني؟ يعني اعتقد ان هو دي اغلب الحاجات اللي هو ذكرها او اتكلم فيها. يعني اجمالا اتمنى بس الموضوع كان لطيف معاكم. واتمنى يعني ان تكونوا استمتعتوا بالموضوع. انا كنت مبسوط بصراحة باجابات الراجل. قدم كلاريفيكيشنز دي كتيرة كويسة، وبعضها جديد جدا بالنسبة لي على الاقل اتليست يعني. وحاجة لطيفة كده يعني نكسر بيها الروتين والحاجات التقليدية بتاعت اللايف. فأتمنى يعني إن الراجل إن شاء الله يبقى موفق معانا، والواحد متفائل بيه، وإن شاء الله الظروف تخدمه والتوفيق يخدمه شوية يعني. دخلت متأخر معلش بقى يا هشام، والراجل كان وقته، أنا اللي مرتبط بوقته مش العكس يعني. فشكرا تاني يا شباب، ومعذرة بقى لو البرفورمانس مش قد كده، الدنيا ما عجبتكوش، بس هو الواحد حاول يعمل حاجة لطيفة كده ويسليكوا معايا يعني في الوقت ده، لأن بقول لكم بقى لي أسبوعين كده إيه منفوخ مذاكرة وشغل. فيعني دعواتكم بقى الفترة الجاية إن شاء الله تبقى لطيفة. وشكرا جزيلا ليكم. يعني أنا بس عايز حاجة أخيرة. دي حاجة بسيطة جدا 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 جدا، ممكن الإعلام بتاع الأهلي يعملها ويركز ويشتغل من عليها على التسويق، يشتغل عليها على الجماهيرية، يشتغل عليها على النتوركينج، يشتغل عليها حاجات كتيرة جدا بعيدا عن الجانب الإعلامي الخبري. يعني بعيدا عن الجانب الخبري الإعلامي، دي حاجات تانية خالص. يعني خليها على جنب، مش هنتكلم فيها. أنا مش أنا اللي هتكلم فيها، ما أفهمش فيها. حاجات تانية أعتقد إن دي حاجة سهلة. النهارده بالليل ان شاء الله، او ماكسيمم بكره الظهر ان شاء الله، هنزل حاجه تانية ان شاء الله. اتمنى ان تعجب الناس، هتوصل لكم مسج مهمه جدا تورينا ان احنا فعلا قدامنا فرصه ذهبيه، ولكن للاسف احنا لم نستغلها ولا نستغلها، ولا يبدو ان احنا نستغلها في القريب العاجل. بس يعني فشكرا جدا ليكم يا شباب، ويعني شاكر جدا ليكم، ومعذرة الإطالة. وحاضر يا محمد ياسر، اللايف هينزل إن شاء الله على اليوتيوب، وأنا كده كده هسيب اللايف ده شوية بعد ما أقفل. يلا السلام عليكم، ونلقاكم على خير لاحقا.